Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about the subtraction rule. So it's a nice little rule that will help make sure that you find the right value. It's especially helpful when we're solving equations, which is a huge part of Algebra 1. So let's get started. So the subtraction rule is all about value. And then, with my years of teaching, I've been through this so many times, and I get it. I mean, if I was to give you an expression that looked like that, 8 minus 3, but most of my students throughout my whole career would say 5, and that's great. If I asked them the values of these terms, they'd be off. So, part of being successful in Algebra 1 is showing your work, first of all, taking your time, and making sure you understand everything. So, if I had $8 and you took 3 away, of course we'd have $5. But what the subtraction rule does, it actually helps us find the value of each term. So 8 is a term, and the second 3, which most people again would say is 3, is also a term, but it's not a 3. And we know an expression is not in simplest form until we've done all the operations that we can do. So the keep, change, or the subtraction rule is just a real quick trick until you understand it. And I'm not a big fan of tricks. It's actually not a trick. It's actually showing you the value. So we're going to keep the 8, and there's so much importance in working vertically. So we're going to bring down the 8. We're going to change subtraction to addition. And then the last change is just, we're going to pretend that the rest of it's not there and just look at that 3 and think about what's the opposite of 3. Well, the opposite of 3 is negative 3. So if we were to now add this using a number line, and again, some of us need to do this and some of us don't. We start at the first number, which is 8. And if we're adding negative 3, that means we're going to the left 3 spaces. And that's going to leave you at 5. So your final answer would be 5. However, if I was to give you an expression that looked like that, which should look similar, a lot of my students would tell me that's also 5. Okay. One thing we have to make sure we understand is the commutative properties of addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. So addition is commutative, which means you can change the order and still get the same answer. Subtraction is not. So if we change the order of the numbers, we're going to get a different answer. So keep, change, bring down the 3. Again, I like to circle that or do something so I know what I'm doing with it. And then when I look at this last number here, I'm going to take the opposite of 8, which is negative 8. And again, if I use a number line here, start at the first number 3, and I'm going, and this is the other reason I really like this, is if I'm adding a negative number, that means I'm going to the left. I'm getting smaller in value. So I have to go 3, and then I have to go another 5 to do 8 total to the left. And that means I'm going to end up at negative 5, left of 0. So the answer to this expression is negative 5. So instead of guessing and hoping that we're going to get it right, let's just make sure we get it right, even if it takes us a little bit more time. One of the more confusing ones is and I'll use some different numbers here, is if we're actually doing something like that. 5 minus a negative 2. And guys, just, another good habit is we never write 2 numbers next to each other, with operators. So, minus, minus. We have to have it in parentheses, kind of like I did on the other one when I said plus and then put negative 8 in parentheses. So using the subtraction rule here, keep, change. And remember, guys, I mean, multiple choice type questions, they know the common mistakes. So that's going to be one of the options. And that's where a lot of students are like, oh, I'm so happy I got one of the answers. And then they get it wrong. All right. So we're going to keep the 5. We're going to change that minus to plus. And then it's just habit for me. I put those parentheses because most of the time we're going to be using that. We don't need it here, but the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. Okay. So the final answer here is 7. One of the common answers is going to be 3. they'd have 7, they probably have -3, and they'd probably have -7. All right, so instead of guessing, let's make sure we get it right. And this also works with variables. So if we're combining variables, whether we're solving an equation or we're solving an inequality, we have to combine like terms. So if we have 3x minus 7x, a lot of students, so again, will do that in their head. Your mind's playing a trick on you and saying 4x. Keep changing. You can just write this on your paper, guys. No one needs to see this. Okay. I used to tell my students, if I see it, that means they're actually thinking about it, which I think is fantastic. But don't worry about it. Do the little things that are going to help you. So bring down the 3x, that changes to plus, and then the opposite of 7x is -7x. And since these terms like each other, because they're both x to the first, we can combine them. So we're combining 3 and -7, which means, again, we're starting at 3, we're going 7 to the left, and that's going to leave us at -4x. Hope that helps. Reach out if you need other help. Have a great day.